Welcome to this deep dive into the 21st century man. We're exploring the book chapter by chapter, looking at the challenges and opportunities for men today.
And today we're diving into Chapter 50, the topic, electronic addiction.
Yeah, talk about relevant. Our goal here is to really unpack what the book's presenting on this, pull out the key ideas, and, understand this thing that touches almost everyone's life now.
It really does. The 21st century man, it just offers such valuable ways to think about navigating these modern issues. This chapter is a perfect example.
Absolutely. And if you haven't read the whole book, we really do recommend it. There's just so much more depth there.
And this chapter kicks off with a quote that, well, it just nails the speed of change. Life was easier when Apple and BlackBerry were just fruits.
Huh. Yeah, that sums it up pretty well. It really captures how fast technology became so central.
Okay, so let's dive into that rapid evolution the book lays out. It gives this almost dizzying tour of how the internet exploded.
It really underscores the speed, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. The first public website, that was 1991.
Right, and just 1 year on, the first photo online, the book mentions it was Les Horribles Cernets, the CERN band.
Les Horribles Cernets. Always remember that name. And then from there, it just picks up pace like crazy.
Exactly. 1994, you've got Yahoo, you've got Amazon popping up.
Then 95, eBay launches, and this is kind of amazing. Email actually overtook snail mail.
Seems like another lifetime now, right?
Totally.
Then the big players arrive, Google in 98, then Craigslist, Wikipedia, and then the real game changer for daily life, I think, social media.
Yeah. Facebook in 2004.
Twitter '06, Instagram 2010. I mean, all of that happened in, under 20 years? It's incredible.
And then the book kind of hits you with the numbers, the sheer saturation of it all. The stats it quotes from 2019 are just staggering.
They really are. They paint this picture of how deep it goes. Like 317 million Americans online back then.
And 80% using social media, e-commerce, what was it? Over $600 billion.
Yeah, 11% of all retail sales. It's massive.
And the communication volume. The average email user sending 74 emails a day.
I know. And 74% of Americans on Facebook spending nearly 2 hours every single day on social platforms.
Just think what else you could do at that time. It's almost 14 hours a week.
And instant messages, 7 billion accounts globally, sending something like 438 billion messages daily.
Wow.
The consumption figures are just as big. Netflix eating up 26% of streaming traffic, streaming music, 75% of the whole industry's revenue.
And yeah, the book even notes Pornhub usage, 5 billion hours watched, plus podcast listeners spending an hour a day. So maybe you listening right now are part of that statistic.
Could be. And a quarter of Americans doing at least some work online. The book nails it with the phrase, the acceleration and the extent of its saturation into our lives is staggering.
It really is. It's not just growth. It's like it's woven into the fabric of everything.
So given all that saturation, the book says it's, quote, no surprise that maybe more than 10% of people might suffer from internet addiction disorder, IAD.
Right, described as a behavioral disorder.
And it tackles that common stereotype straight away, about gamers.
That it's just teenagers in dark rooms.
Exactly. But the data in the book, it shows the average gamer age is 30, and 68% are over 18. So this isn't just a kid thing at all.
Which leads to the big question the book poses. Just because you use the internet a lot, does that mean you're addicted?
And the key distinction the source makes is, it's crucial. It says it becomes addiction when these activities start to interfere with our daily lives.
Okay. So it's about the negative impact.
Precisely. The impact on your real-world relationships, job, health, finances, that's the line, not just the hours clocked.
Got it. So interference is the key.
Yeah.
What are the main categories the book lists where this addiction tends to show up?
The big ones mentioned are gaming, pornography, which it notes is mainly a male issue in terms of addiction stats, social media, and online shopping.
And the book suggests these often function as a kind of escape, right?
Yeah, that's a core idea. They're often used as an escape from, real-life stress, disappointments, pressures. A bit of escape is fine, maybe even necessary sometimes.
But it go too far.
Exactly. It can be overdone and become really problematic.
The book digs into gaming specifics a bit more, too.
It does. It mentions the average millennial spending around $1,000 a year on online gaming.
$1,000?
Wow. But for some guys, the hardcore users, it can be $10,000 or even more.
Seriously?
And the total U.S. spend back in 2017 was huge, $36 billion on games, nearly $7 billion just on the hardware.
And the real-life impact for those addicted. The book talks about hardcore gamers actually neglecting basic stuff like eating or drinking, playing for hours straight.
Yeah, that really shows the level of interference we were talking about. It takes over.
What I found really fascinating was the book connecting IAD to like actual physical changes in the brain.
Yes, detectable changes. Studies mentioned in the book link IAD to alterations in the prefrontal cortex.
Okay, remind us the prefrontal cortex is.
That's the bit right at the front of your brain. It handles the complex stuff, personality, making decisions, controlling impulses, social behavior. So changes there.
Yeah.
That can really affect how you operate.
And it connects to the brain's reward system, that dopamine thing.
Exactly. Like other behavioral addictions, IAD seems to tap into the brain's pleasure center. Doing the addictive online activity releases dopamine.
Which the book calls that major feel-good neurotransmitter.
That's the one. It's part of how our brain learns and reinforces behaviors. You do something, feels good, get dopamine, want to do it again.
So the online stuff gives you that dopamine hit.
Right. But the book explains, just like with drugs or gambling, your brain can build up a tolerance over time.
Meaning you need more and more to get the same feeling.
You got it. More online time, more intense activity, just to get that same pleasurable response. And that creates this dependency loop.
And the internet itself, the way it's designed,
Mm-hmm.
kind of feeds right into this.
Oh, absolutely. The book points out another huge lure. The novelty, the unpredictability. Every refresh, every notification, it might be something interesting, something rewarding.
That constant potential for a little hit.
Yeah. And it's not accidental. The book highlights that big sites, like YouTube, for instance, they actually hire scientists to write algorithms specifically designed to keep you engaged, keep you clicking, keep you online longer.
Wow. So it's engineered addiction, in a way.
It's definitely engineered engagement pushed to an extreme. That's a really powerful point the book makes.
It also talks about underlying factors, things that might make someone more vulnerable.
Yeah, like pre-existing conditions. Things like depression or anxiety can play a pretty big role.
How so?
Well, those conditions can mess with your brain chemistry, including dopamine and serotonin levels, which are linked to mood.
Mm-hmm.
This might make the solace or the mood boost from online activity feel even more necessary, more intense.
So someone feeling anxious or down might turn to the internet to try and self-medicate, essentially.
That's the idea presented. It becomes a coping strategy, but one that doesn't fix the root cause and can create its own problems.
Makes sense.
And the book also mentions that men who are maybe very shy or extremely introverted might be at higher risk.
Why is that?
Because the internet offers connection, or the feeling of it, and emotional rewards without the direct interpersonal interaction that can feel really difficult or anxiety-provoking for some people.
Ah, okay. So it's a lower stakes way to get some social or emotional needs met, but again, potentially problematic if it replaces real connection.
Precisely. The virtual world offers an alternative path.
The chapter then lists out the symptoms to watch for.
Yeah, it breaks them down quite clearly. Emotionally, you might see things like increased anxiety, depression, feeling isolated even if you're connected online, loneliness.
Mood swings, getting easily agitated.
Right, boredom with everyday tasks, procrastination, avoiding work or responsibilities. Also, becoming defensive if someone questions your online time, feeling guilty, maybe even being dishonest about how much time you're spending.
And physically.
There's a toll there, too. Backaches, carpal tunnel syndrome from typing or gaming, headaches, neck pain, dry eyes from screen time.
Insomnia is a big one, right?
Yeah,
Staying up late online.
definitely. And poor nutrition, maybe weight gain from being sedentary or weight loss from forgetting to eat.
That's a pretty grim list. And you could easily see how those symptoms would directly impact relationships, work, money, education, just like the book argues.
Mm-hmm. And the research cited shows this isn't just anecdotal. IAD is a real global trend, especially among young people.
And the research points to some gender differences in what people get addicted to.
It does seem to. Studies suggest males are about 3 times more likely to develop gaming addiction. And online porn and online gambling addiction also show up more frequently in adult males.
And the link back to underlying mental health stuff is clear in the research, too.
Yeah, definitely. While getting solid numbers is tough, the book mentions studies finding, for instance, around 10% of young men with IED also have depression. And having lots of unstructured free time, plus those psychosocial issues, anxiety, depression, social issues, seem to be major factors.
There was even an interesting age breakdown in some research mentioned.
Yeah, that was quite specific. One study found that for folks 55 or older with problematic internet use, it often linked up with anxiety disorders or OCD.
OCD being obsessive compulsive disorder. those repetitive thoughts and behaviors.
Correct. Whereas for the younger group, say 25 or younger, problematic use was more often associated with ADHD,
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
right? Or social anxiety disorder. So, depending on your age and maybe what you're already dealing with, the internet can become a problematic escape for different underlying reasons.
So, okay, it paints a pretty clear picture of the problem. What about solutions? What does the book say about treatment?
Well, the absolute first step, according to the chapter, is just recognizing it, admitting there's a problem that needs addressing.
Can't fix what you don't acknowledge. Makes sense.
Exactly. After that, there are a few paths. Sometimes people can self-correct, put firm boundaries and management strategies in place.
Like time limits, maybe?
Yeah, or consciously choosing offline activities.
Mhm.
There's also software you can get that helps control internet access or block certain types of sites.
And dealing with those underlying issues we talked about. Anxiety, depression.
Oh, absolutely critical.
Hmm.
Treating those conditions maybe with therapy, maybe medication, often both can make a huge difference. If the internet use is a symptom, treating the cause is key.
And the book mentions specific therapies.
It does. Various kinds of cognitive and behavioral therapy are highlighted.
Can you break those down quickly?
Sure. So cognitive therapy helps you spot and challenge those negative or unhelpful thought patterns that might be driving the behavior. Behavioral therapy focuses more directly on changing the harmful actions themselves, learning new coping skills.
And they often go together.
Very often, yeah. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is really common. It gives you practical tools to see how your thoughts, feelings, and actions are linked, and then how to change the patterns that are causing problems.
Sounds like a really practical, hands-on approach.
It can be very effective.
So finally, the chapter wraps up with this really important takeaway about finding balance, doesn't it?
It does, and it starts with this kind of relatable admission that, quote, we are all a little addicted to the internet and to our phones.
Yeah, that probably resonates with most of us listening.
Right. But the crucial point, especially as more and more of our lives, work, school, socializing, move online, is that men need to be really conscious of the time split. Virtual world versus real world.
Because technology moves way faster than our basic human needs change.
Exactly. The book puts it powerfully. Tech changes fast, but our biology, our fundamental need for real, genuine human connection, that hasn't changed at the same pace.
Our partners, our kids, our friends, they still crave actual FaceTime, real presence, more than texts or emails or likes.
That's really the core message, I think. The goal isn't necessarily to ditch technology altogether. It's incredibly useful.
Right, the efficiency, the convenience.
But the challenge, the real key takeaway from this chapter is finding that sweet spot. Leveraging the good stuff technology offers while actively avoiding that slide into pure escapism, into chasing those false rewards the internet dangles.
It's a strong call for self-awareness, for being intentional about how we use these tools. And yeah, the 21st Century Man offers a really clear perspective on it.
It really does. Understanding the why and the how, the history, the scale, the brain science, the symptoms, that's all important. But ultimately, the book asks us to look at our own lives and actively choose that balance.
Okay, so we've covered the incredible speed of the internet's rise and its saturation in our lives, the idea of internet addiction disorder, what it looks like, the brain science, the risk factors, symptoms, research, and importantly, ways to move forward, all through the lens of Chapter 50 of the 24th Century Man.
And this deep dive, it really just gives you a taste of the insights in this book for handling modern life.
We really can't recommend reading the 21st Century Man enough. It covers so much ground that's relevant for men today.
Definitely worth your time. It's an investment in understanding yourself and the world we're in.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive. We hope it sparked some thoughts about electronic addiction and finding that balance in your own life.
And we hope you'll join us next time. We'll be diving into Chapter 51, pornography.
We look forward to it. But maybe before then, just take a moment today. Notice the tech around you. What's maybe one small conscious thing you could do right now to shift that balance a little bit more towards real-world connection? Something to think about.